It's telling me it's going over on YouTube. Damn it, man. I knew it. I knew something was bad. What's going? Hopefully I didn't get kicked off of YouTube. Weird. So weird. I don't want to restart. Okay, hold on. Maybe we're there. Maybe we're not. It's kind of going. It's saying 12 seconds. Not the way to start the show. I want to talk about Woody Harrelson. I want to talk about Saturday Night Live. There we are. We're finally up on YouTube. So weird. So weird. Okay, we're there. Oh, bizarre. So, good for Woody Harrelson. It's getting text. All streams on this side are good, and Podbean is set up over here. Great. Great. We only just wasted 3 minutes of reality rants. That's all right. Only almost 2 hours to go, guys. And actually, I have a ton of stories here. But again, let's start with Woody. Here's the deal, guys. I want this video to stay on YouTube. Now, there are certain aspects of what Woody Harrelson had to say that I can't really make the comments I want on. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to wait till the second hour, the premium hour, over at redvoicemedia.com/Jason. And there are several things about Saturday Night Live I want to show and talk about, including the fact that even though Woody Harrelson did a good job of going after Big Pharma and Big Pharma cartels, later in the show, and by the way, it's kind of funny, I'm not going to lie, I laughed several times. I only watched the first 45, 50 minutes, maybe the first hour of it, up until like a sketch or two after Jack White performed. Okay, Five Timers Club. I'm glad I don't have to dislike Woody Harrelson after this. But they did a Cologuard commercial. Okay, so it wasn't a live sketch. If you've seen the Cologuard box, it was a parody, but not in the sense that they didn't use the real drug and the real logo and the real graphics, everything. And look, if you don't know what Cologuard is, we're not trying to spread any medical misinformation here, but it's basically a test for colon cancer. I've seen those ads all over the place, but what I realize is every time I listen to it is that there are a ton of false positives, all right? And there are also false negatives. So in other words, it's obviously not 100%, but I question the efficacy of it. And by the way, you don't want false positives on cancer tests. Medical malpractice is still a big deal, everybody. You know what I'm saying? And the amount of people that are falsely diagnosed and then treated with cancer in this country is also extremely alarming. Something that's not discussed. So in that sense, great job, Woody. And there's another clip that we can play on the other side. Can't play it here at YouTube. Sorry. Where Woody Harrelson goes on not Bill Maher's show, but on his podcast. And they just talk for like a minute and a half. And it's reasonable. Imagine that. It's reasonable. Okay? So we're going to hit several stories right now. I think they're all pretty important ones, but this is a big one. So I'm not a memer, but this did a good job of putting together all these different headlines. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians. Okay? By the way, this whole entire intro that he does it in a way where he's kind of just pitching the idea that he's a pothead. Okay? That's it. Like, it's a funny pothead joke. It starts really early on, like in the beginning of the monologue, where he's talking about it's 2019 and he's hanging out by a tree in Central Park about to smoke a dooba-doober. A dooba-la-loober? Well, we'll watch the monologue again, second hour premium. But then he says that he gets this script. And as you can imagine, it's this crazy script. I don't want to give away the punchline, but nobody would ever believe it. In which the biggest drug cartels in the world got together, buy up all the politicians and the media, lock the entire population down, force them to use their drugs forever. He said it's just too wacky. And then, just so everybody knows, he never used the term V. He never used V for vendetta, right? And I'm surprised that they didn't try to invoke his Mickey Knox character and say he was going to kill more people than he did in that excellent film. I mean, that's one of the greatest collaboration films of all time. At the time, Quentin Tarantino, a relative unknown. But that film, Natural Born Killers, there's a few versions of it out there, is so poignant even today. Speaking to the tabloid society of today. Okay? So, in unison, the media makes his point. Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, Variety, HuffPost, all the same headlines. Ha, 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 ha. And was there some discomfort there while he was saying that? And the thing was, although he was moving along this timeline of joking around, smoking weed, talking about his wife, talking about forgetting stuff, etc., you could tell the audience knew what he was going to be saying. Now, the cold open also had a Trump thing going on. And I actually tweeted that out. And I said, when I saw it, first of all, the guy that's doing it is a lot younger. They got him in makeup. You know, they got him in actually pretty decent makeup where they don't make him look too old. Like I said, a younger guy. He's got the mannerisms and the voice of Trump down pat. Hands down. I mean, it was funny. Now, at the same time, it's about East Palestine, right? In Ohio. And I saw somebody in my feed say, you know, not so funny for the people that are affected by it. You're right. You're right. But to me, dark humor is still humor. And that whole bit wasn't going after the usual tropes that Saturday Night Live did. And by the way, like I said, I watched quite a bit of it. There wasn't a lot of politics in the episode that I saw. Maybe that changes as I go on, but it was really like back to like ha funny comedy. I laughed a few times. In fact, I'll say last week or a couple weeks ago, I don't know when it was. I didn't watch the show, but I saw the Pasquale guy who's huge now, right? This guy Pasquale, he's everywhere. He's a good actor. I've seen him in stuff throughout the years, getting more and more roles. And they did this amazing bit about basically a takeoff of what HBO's done with The Last of Us, and they make Mario Kart in this dystopian future. Fantastic. I love Mario Kart. Lots of inside jokes in there. Hilarious. Again, non-political. Good for him. Good for him. Good for them getting back to comedy, because that's important. So like I said, second hour, we'll actually watch that, redvoicemedia.com/Jason. If you just want to listen to it, remember, it's free over on Podbean streaming right now. But supporting the broadcast is big for us. $10 a month or $100 for the year. Lock it in. So there are a couple of stories that kind of coincide with this that I think are important. Because the reason that everybody's so uncomfortable and the reason that comedy is important is sometimes it's not so funny. It's pointing out how absurd we as human beings act collectively. That's kind of where you get stereotypes from, and comedy that the vast majority of us can relate to. And I'm not talking about just racial or gender stereotypes. How dare you, Jason? How dare you? I'm talking about just stereotypes around where people live. Oh, he's from Boston, New York City, Florida man. Are we not allowed to allowed to do that? Is that dead naming comedy? So here are a couple just like absurd stories that, for instance, this one. Don't want to say it. George Mason University study shows DC's indoor you-know-what didn't work. Really? Shocker. And then there's this one. Now, I want to be real careful here, because again, I don't want this taken off. But then I'm going to show you a video of why this is so important. Think about right now, they're talking about the energy department. This is the Department of Energy. Okay, let me repeat that. This is the Department of Energy. And as we've discussed before, the Department of Energy is very important because they help run covert programs that in the past have done human experimentation. Now, we know about some of the stuff, some of the horrific radiological experiments done on human beings. And what I'm going to show you is Bill Clinton admitting to this in 1995, okay, almost 28 years ago. Okay? Really, I mean, think about it, close to 3 decades ago. And it should be, I mean, first of all, you have to skip to like 11, 12, 13 minutes into this thing. 2-3 minutes into Clinton speaking in the first place. Because they're all just so raucous and joyous and patting each other on the back that they even got this done, this commission to look into this. We got something this thick that was a fraction of the crimes they committed against humanity. And guess what? They were never held accountable. And the Energy Department still is in on the big joke. So now, when I say that they say there's new intelligence, there's no new intelligence. That's Johnny nonsense. Based on new intelligence, they're going with lab leak. Okay? That's what the Energy Department is concluding. Now, 2/27/2023. First of all, I'm going to be very careful again here. I don't posit lab leak. I don't like the fact that you either get zoological or lab leak. Like, there can be no intent by a malevolent force. All right? You're not allowed to posit a concerted effort by the world's most ruthless, psychopathic individuals of power out there. Can't say that. No, no, no. But the Department of Energy now can tell us they've got new intelligence, that it's not zoological. Now, I was positing to a buddy of mine who actually works at MIT right now, is in the anti-aging field, got into it really in recent years as an older gentleman. He'll hate that I'm calling him older, but he's a bit older than me. And, you know, if I were to pick up a new career here in my mid-40s or later in my 50s, I would think that, you know, that's obviously a different choice. And if you watch the show, you know that I was showing you all these new hypes. Oh, no, zoological. Ooh, so many outbreaks. And this goes along with Earth 2100 and the Faucirini, right? And Eric Schmidt and James Woolsey of the CIA. And our good friend Van Jones. John Podesta, another great guy. Top-notch individual. All getting together and telling you how the world is going to have all these cataclysms due to climate change. And one of them, of course, are zoological outbreaks. Now, I said, you know, I basically posted this saying, hey, get ready for the hype train. He goes, hey, this is a real thing. And I said, is it a real thing? Because they're still telling us from the authoritative sources that this thing is zoological. And then I went through why we know it's not zoological, this thing. And of course now, if the Energy Department says it, is that okay? But as long as you say it's a leak. Leaky, leaky, cover-uppy, hoopa-doopity. So, by the way, 159 people. Let's get 100 thumbs up, everybody. Let's do it. Let's do it. Here's Bill Clinton. Here's old Slick Willie himself. You know, and I was thinking about how I felt as a young man when Clinton was in office and how naive I was about the whole system. But you have to remember, in the time period that he was president for me, 92, right, up to 2000, those 8 years of my life, as far as like where we were in the country, what I was able to do and kind of my growth as a human being, I start as a teenager, literally just coming up as a teenager, and I end up almost drinking age by the end of it. I mean, I do end up drinking age by the end of it. And throughout that, there just seemed like there was so much opportunity. We weren't starting wars. 9/11 wasn't even a thought. In the background, there were a few things that were of concern, such as Oklahoma City and Waco. But Waco, I mean, Koresh was so demonized, you didn't even realize what was happening there. Okay? And then, of course, the first World Trade Center bombing. And I often posit, especially with the first World Trade Center bombing, if those people had done what they were supposed to do and taken out that entire column, I think that you would have had a head start like you wouldn't have believed. Like you wouldn't have believed for the war on terror. Okay? I don't know how much difference that would have made. But otherwise, I mean, guys, gas was like under $1 a gallon. The internet boom was here. People were making money by the end of his presidency. The guy played the saxophone and went on Arsenio Hall, for Christmas sakes. It's a lot of reasons on the surface levels to like the guy. And he was a good politician. I mean, that's why the Iran-Contra crew loved him so much, if you know what I mean. Hey, Slick Willie. I mean, if I had any idea, I didn't even understand what a demon Bush Sr. was at this point, obviously. Okay? But here he is talking about that Department of Energy and this report. And again, I want you to see what a good politician he is and how he eases into this. I mean, this is this thick. Oh, the Department of Energy is just telling us now. Wow, looks Wuhan lab leaky. All right.
I do thank you so much for the work you have done. Let me tell you that just as this is an important part of the efforts that Secretary O'Leary outlined, I saw this committee as an indispensable part of our effort to restore the confidence of the American people in the integrity of their government. All of these political reform issues, to me, are integrated. When I became the president, I realized we had great new economic challenges, we had profound social problems, that a lot of these things had to be done by an energized American citizenry, but that our national government had a role to play in moving our country through this period of transition. And in order to do it, we needed to increase the capacity of the government to do it through political reform, but we also needed, as much as anything else, to increase the confidence of the American people, that at the very least, they could trust the United States government.
Been hearing a lot about trust lately, right? We got to restore trust in our institutions. Billy was trying to do that. Oh, we got to restore trust in the government. And by telling them how we experimented on them viciously without their knowledge, only in small part, and then exonerating those who did it, well, that's how we'll do it. What?
To tell the truth and to do the right things. So you have to understand that for me, one reason this is so important is that I see it as part of our ongoing effort to give this government back to the American people. Senator Glenn's long effort to get Congress to apply to itself the same laws it imposes on the private sector. The restrictions that I imposed on members of my administration in high positions for lobbying for foreign governments. And when the lobby bill failed in the Congress, I just imposed it by executive order on members of the executive branch. All these efforts at political reform, it seems to me, are important. But none of these efforts can succeed unless people believe that they can rely on their government to tell them the truth and to do the right thing. We have declassified thousands of government documents, files from the Second World War, the Cold War, President Kennedy's assassination.
I mean, think about that. We're talking about President Kennedy's assassination in 1995. That's how vapid and empty everything he's saying is at its core. But as a politician, boy, he's winging them in. He's winging them in. He's got everything to tell you about it.
These actions are not only consistent with our national security, they are essential to advance our values. So, to me, that's what this is all about. And to all those who represent the families who have been involved in these incidents, let me say to you, I hope you feel that your government has kept its commitment to the American people, to tell the truth and to do the right thing. We discovered soon after I entered office that with the specter of an atomic war looming like Armageddon, far nearer than it does today, the United States government actually did carry out on our citizens experiments involving radiation. That's when I ordered the creation of this committee. Dr. Faden and the others did a superb job. They enlisted many of our nation's most significant and important medical and scientific ethicists. They had to determine first whether experiments conducted or sponsored by our government between 1944 and 1974 met the ethical and scientific standards of that time and of our time. And then they had to see to it that our research today lives up to nothing less than our highest values.
All right. So that again is a lot of padded Johnny nonsense. Okay, that's what that is. It's padded Johnny nonsense. First of all, we're talking about 44 during the World War. Okay? All the way to 74. Now, this is taking place in 95. That means the commission has been around for quite some time. So 20 years unaccounted for on what they're actually telling. They're only telling you pieces of it. Think about how he invoked Kennedy. I mean, my God. And now he's going to pad it for you that we're trying to keep these to ethical standards from then and now. And now he's going to have to admit, hey, maybe some of these things weren't so ethical. Really, Bill? Really, Bill?
And our most deeply held beliefs. From the beginning, it was obvious to me that this energetic committee was prepared to do its part. We declassified thousands of pages of documents. We gave committee members the keys to the government's doors, file cabinets, and safes. For the last year and a half, the only thing that stood between them and the truth were all the late nights and hard work they had to put in. This report I received today is a monumental document in more ways than one.
Look at the size of it. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's a bad joke to these people. Even then, they're just laughing in your face. Look at that thing is phone book size. Phone book size.
But it is a very, very important piece of America's history, and it will shape America's future.
And again, guys, I mean, that's the human radiation experiments. That's not the psychological ones. And that's what they're letting you know about. And that's 74 to 44. It's 2023.
In ways that will make us a more honorable, more successful, and more ethical country. What this committee learned, I would like to review today with a little more detail than Dr. Faden said, because I think it must be engraved on our national memory. Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation.
Hospitals, universities, and military bases. Yes, they did horrific things to unknowing citizens at universities and hospitals without their informed consent. And no one paid the price.
The goal was to understand the effects of radiation exposure on the human body. While most of the tests were ethical by any standards, some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted.
Boom. That's where we can end that. We don't have to watch any more. If you want to go watch the next 10 minutes of that crap, you can. It's up there. It's in the public record. But just that admission alone in the phone book size document you're looking at, okay, that should give you a good idea. I see end the prisons. You're damn right they did it in the prisons. You're damn right they did it in the prisons. Oh, man, that makes me upset. You know, it's almost like, where do I go from here? Because there's so many stories that I have to hit up. Okay, so many stories. I want to hit this one up quick. Just so everybody knows, there's never going to be an Epstein list. There was never an Epstein list. The only Epstein lists out there are the lists that intelligence agencies have gathered via their asset Epstein over the decades he worked for them. And those lists include who he did business with, and then who he compromised via video, sexually, or photographs sexually, whether with adults or children. All right? All that that runs the gamut of Epstein. Okay? And then they also have, again, lists of his business dealings and his fronts and probably his arms dealings. So again, those are the only lists you're ever going to get. I see the people in my comment section and Twitter section, the list exists. It's just larger than everybody would imagine. No. There is no list. There will be no list released. Okay, now, as you can see, as we check every day, this was updated at 5:30 a.m. Eastern today. There are no new documents in this court case. When the new documents are unsealed that people are reporting as a list that doesn't exist come out, I will be one of the first ones to report on it and look at those documents with you, I promise. Now, there's a story in particular I want to grab here involving Jim Carrey. Okay? And why is this an important story? Because I keep seeing other lists that are completely made up and that are not real all over the place, and sometimes posted by people I really like. And I've seen this fake flight log list. It's not real, guys. If you want the real flight logs, they've been around for a very long time, and there are scans of them. If you are retweeting anything that is not a scanned document with a court number on it, you are probably being played. And I, as a longtime Epstein researcher, can tell you I have seen zero connections between Jim Carrey and Jeffrey Epstein ever. Ever. Now, I don't know who this YouTuber is. Never seen anything by him. But you can't go around just accusing people of things you saw via a fake meme. That's how you get sued. Okay? And whether this guy has a pot to piss in or anything to lose doesn't matter. You discredit yourself when you pass Johnny nonsense around like this. And that is why we are focused on real people, real names, real actions, especially in the Epstein case. And that's why, you know what, we're going to take just a little funny detour, but it's not funny, it's kind of dark humor. Because when you do things sometimes without thinking, without really doing the research yourself, or you make a mistake. I mean, some of us, I've made mistakes. You're damn right I have. And I'll always admit to them. Okay? When there are mistakes made, it's time to fess up. Now, I've expressed my opinion on the Alex Jones case, the defamation cases. I'm hoping that he actually wins his appeals. I do think that, especially in the judgments, right? I do think, according to the law, there may have been some defamation payouts to individuals that he did name. But if there were any justice, it would be much, much smaller judgments. I mean, much, much smaller judgments. The cases would have allowed him to defend himself, which he didn't, which is extremely dangerous. I mean, so dangerous to everybody. It sets the worst precedent, okay, that a judge can just say, no, you're guilty. You're not allowed to defend yourself. What? Like you've defaulted. Whoa, that's bad. But now it's gone to the absurd. They're coming for AJ's cat. All right? I know. It's dark humor day here over at Reality Rants. I can't make this up. Let's just play the clip.
Okay, so this is not a joke. This is real, and this really happened. And I just got home tonight with my family, so my wife's shooting this video. I'm in a bankruptcy hearing, personal and corporate for InfoWars, and the Justice Department is involved and ordered me to be at a hearing today. And they spent probably 5 minutes of the meeting that was over 3 hours long on my cat. This is Mushu, my 5-year-old daughter named Mushu this 2 years ago. And they wanted to know if assets were hidden in the cat. The cat was like $2,000, and it is a ragdoll cat, and we really do love it. But they were very serious about the cat and its value, and they may want the cat for the Sandy Hook families. So the deal's broke. You guys aren't getting the cat. This is next level. This is harassment. No one's ever heard of this. My lawyer's never heard of this. This is just insane. And I mean, what, do you want my children next? Do you want to like sacrifice my children or something? So this cat is really sweet. My daughter really likes the cat. He's a little bit tired of me holding him. But I mean, here he is. This is the terrorist right here that they want. And this is the reality that we live in here in America in 2023. Justice Department hearings with people laughing in the background when they say, we want your cat. And it was kind of like that woman on the grand jury in Georgia, like, I wanted to get Trump under my control. And they're literally like, tell us about your cat. You know, what's your cat's value? They're trying to like stir me up or something. It doesn't stir me up. It makes me really upset for this country. They're mad I don't have these billions of dollars they claimed I did just because they lied in the media and said I had these things. It's not real. And now they want my cat. Ladies and gentlemen, the line in the sand is you cannot have the cat. I'm sorry.
I mean, look at his face while he says it too. It's beyond absurd. Again, you know, had this not been, I mean, I guess everybody expected it with Alex Jones to become the circus that it did. Again, out of a total tragedy. Like talk about dark humor, man. That's about as dark as it gets, right? I mean, the human experimentation stuff, extremely dark. Dead children, turns my stomach. You know, I came across a video. I must have been added in or somewhere in my feed where something, again, I don't know the language, I don't know the politics, Nigeria, but just a dude just gets gunned down. I don't like watching that stuff. And then, you know, they drug his body. Apparently, I didn't even watch it because apparently it was to a well with a bunch of other bodies in it. Like, that's not what I want to focus on. I mean, we're just in the post-truth world, and so many things are beyond absurd that it's hard to know where to draw the line. And when it comes to comedy, I don't know that there is a line to be drawn if it is funny. If it is funny, right? Something to think about. Still don't have 100 thumbs up. And by the way, if you're watching on Rumble, let's hit the heart button. Let's share this with everybody. I love that everybody is sharing. I do want to remind people that you You can subscribe over on Rumble as well. We're over at Red Voice Media, okay? Over at The Rockfin. We're on Twitter. You can watch this stuff over at BitChute and Band.video after the fact. We're everywhere. We're all over the place. All right. So I'm going to try to go down the line. Really a lot of stories. I meant to say this a few days ago. This is my good friends over at TruthStream Media. But we are at a point where everyone needs to get the oldest print dictionary they can find. I've been doing that for the last year, 2+, right? We actually did the Charlie Brown Child's Dictionary. I've got a couple of, I believe, Webster's dictionaries. And whenever I see a really old dictionary, I buy it. And this is, of course, in regards to the idea that they're now rewriting and censoring the James Bond books, Ian Fleming's work. And now that makes me want to collect them and actually read them. As, you know, a lot of the things that were projected even then through entertainment and entertainment of the day were a precursor in predictive programming to what we're seeing today. Okay. So, again, unbelievable, and it seems very bizarre, but this is a real story. I want people to check this out. This is Pemex. That's a serious fire. And when I see something like this, where it says, quote, 3 fires broke out on Thursday at different facilities in Mexico and the United States, operated by state-owned Mexican oil company, Pemex, leaving 5 missing and 8 other injuries as of Thursday evening. And I was like, that can't be real. Oh, it's real. How, I mean, am I kooky? Am I wacky to be like, why isn't this a huge story if this happened on Thursday? Right? Or, I mean, it's Monday. I barely saw this or heard about this. And are we talking about some kind of, I don't know, espionage? 3 different facilities in one day? What is that? I mean, is that just dumb luck? Or is that just so in your face that the powers that shouldn't be, the true cartel class, is just doing whatever they want, whenever they want, and being like, must be a coinkydink. Uh-oh. Who knew? Weird. Bizarre. Bizarre, folks. All right, let's continue down the line. Another bizarre story. And one that I can't believe I don't know more about. I'm hoping that some other people might have some insight. I actually asked for some insight in this story because it's so weird. Man and 15-year-old arrested in the shooting of 9 children at a gas station, and I don't think there were any fatalities. There's so many questions I have about this story. Okay, but we're just going to read what's in here. Okay? 2 people, including a teenager, have been arrested and charged in connection with the shooting of 9 children at a Georgia gas station last week. Columbus police were called to a Shell station just after 10 p.m. on February 17th when they found 9 juveniles suffering from gunshot wounds. All 9 victims, which included a 5-year-old boy, were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Like, did these guys go up to these kids and like shoot them in the feet or the leg or the arm one at a time? What is this? Officers have now arrested D'Angelo Robinson Sr., 35, and a 15-year-old boy for the shootings. The teenage suspect's identity has not been released because he is a juvenile. Robinson is facing 8 counts of aggravated assault, and the teen is facing 1 count of aggravated assault. Aggravated assault? These people have gunshot wounds. Investigators also said the 15-year-old is a known gang member. I mean, officials say more charges are expected. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, Again, what's going on here? A 5-year-old boy was shot. What is going? Man, if anybody can find me any more info on this one, please DM me about it. It's something we're going to be following. Any way you slice it, this should be in the national news. Okay, but it's not part of that great narrative that they're selling you on. Nope. Oh, how Reuters used AirTags to reveal Dow's false recycling promises. Okay. So basically, Reuters did, and by the way, this is concerning, but it's good and bad at the same time. I'm going to tell you why. All right. Number one, recycling for the most part is a gag. It's a joke. I'm sorry, guys. There's and by the way, I don't agree with everything that Penn and Teller has done. I remember Penn and Teller had that great show Bullshit. They attacked 9/11 Truth. You know, I just heard there was somebody via the Glenn Beck network that was attacking Loose Change and saying that we all said it was fake or not fake. My movie Stand Up. Fabled Enemies, Loose Change Final Cut. I'll debate anybody on 9/11. No problem. Especially anybody over at the Blaze. Please, come get some. Well, I'd love to have the conversation. I'm going to be civil. I'm going to come with the receipts. But recycling, for the most part, it's an industry to fool you. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing it. Okay, that we shouldn't be reusing and recycling things that we can. But for the most part, it's just high-level virtue signaling, and it's not as efficient as you may think. There are better things that we could be doing. And basically, they put these AirTags, okay, on these things that were supposed to be recycled to see if indeed they were, right? And Dow was claiming they were recycling all this other. No, of course not. It's Johnny nonsense. So what's the negative on this? Well, I think the negative is to try to push not only the green agenda but more companies into doing this, and then scaring them into actually doing it. And the bigger companies like Dow, they just won't doing it. You know, they'll just pay a fine here and there, and the other ones will be put out of business. See how that works? So a tad bit of danger. A tad bit of danger. In actual good news, Harvey Weinstein, sentenced to 16 years after rape conviction, putting former mogul behind bars for life. Yes, that's about it. That's a wrap. Unless he gets his appeals, which I really hope he does not. This shows you that you can think you have power. You can exert power over a lot of people. You can do really bad things that are disturbing and disgusting. And you may get away with it for a very long time. You may get away with it for your whole entire life. But if you're just a mid-level minion and you've committed so many egregious crimes that it just can't be stopped, you can be sacrificed. Yeah, you can be sacrificed, Harv. You're just running an Operation Hollyweird. Sorry. But it takes a lot. That is a very powerful person. It shows you that individuals can make a difference. You know what? Weinstein is really an extension of the Epstein case. The Epstein case, much more egregious, right? Because of the bodies left in its wake and how much has been hidden from us. But I guarantee you a lot has never come out via the Weinstein case, too. Okay? Period. But hey, you know, when someone like this actually goes to prison, good. Hope it sends a message to the rest of the evil mother truckers out there. And speaking of evil mother truckers, we just did the bad Irish accent. So apparently, the woman who accused Conor McGregor of punching and kicking her, and she felt like she was going to be killed, and then jumped off a boat and was allegedly rescued by Red Cross, said that she had her car set on fire in Dublin. Oh, how about that? Nothing to see here. Oh, nothing to see here, boyo. We'll do what we will. Apparently, there was also some questionable things that may have happened at her home. I don't want to get anything wrong. Just reading the headlines here. And drop the case. And drop the charges against McGregor. Right as he's back on television with the UFC and the tough thing. Apparently, there's a new video of him drunk, too. Being a really good guy. Good role model for the kids. And look, again, adult's going to adult. And this isn't some kind of tabloid show. But we all know why I harp on that. It's a microcosm. Again, that's who they promote. But guess what, Connor? One day they might burn you. One day, all the car firebombs that may or may not happen coincidentally in the world can't save you from the court of public opinion. That's why information is power. This is just a guy that's making a lot of money for a lot of people, billions in some regards, believe it or not. That's the kind of draw he is globally for the Disney, WME, ESPN gang show. It's a gang show. Talk about the real gangstas. Okay? So we'll keep going down the line. We got about 11 minutes, guys, and then we're going to be at redvoicemedia.com/Jason. I got a few more videos that I'm probably going to play. Maybe we'll save some videos for tomorrow because we did just have such a jam-packed show full of information today. You think it's a cartoon that we live in? You bet. Talk about dark humor. This is a dark humor episode of the day. Dark humor episode of the day. And that's why we're going to do the Saturday Night Live stuff on the other side. Okay? So when I saw this, this is this woman's real Twitter. This is really that woman. There she is, posting a picture of her from Instagram. She's a designer. That's her dress. Had her luggage stolen. And this psychopath is wearing it. He's a psychopath. Okay? That's what he is. Somebody that should be in prison. All right, now, prison for the... I'm on a redemption arc. I'm not saying put away for the rest of his life. But this is a perpetual thief. This is psychotic. Somebody that's going to steal again and again and again and again and again. And it's that type of sociopath that's only concerned with themselves that they had running. Wait, what was he? Oh, the Department of Energy. Was it the Department of Energy? The Department of... Weird. We talked a little bit about the Department of Energy today, didn't we? That's the kind of guy they want there. That guy. Figure it out, folks. Figure it out. Now, this one here is a clip that we'll probably play on the other side when we do. But what I need people to understand is the madness is still happening. This is School of Visual Arts in New York City. They're still not letting you in if you didn't buck up. You didn't boopity-boopy. You didn't boop-boop. You understand? Still going on. And SVA was one of those schools, at least for me as a kid, that I really wanted to go to. It was definitely, along with a few others, it was the Art Institute of Philadelphia at the very end that I really wanted to go to. Because as a kid, before computers, I got the grays, guys. Starting to show now how old I am. 43 years young. No Photoshoppy till later. I didn't learn that until college. And really, when I went to college, I thought I was going to learn that kind of stuff, computer graphics. And really, it was just going to be art and cartooning. And a really like comic book style art. That's what I loved. You know, telling stories and comic books visually was something that was very appealing to me. Okay, so when I see, and I end up knowing a lot of people that went to SVA for fashion as well. SVA is a big school. And, I mean, hey, like I said, it's still happening in New York, guys. Still going down. They don't care. They're taking it downtown like Charlie Brown. This is probably a good story to go over here, okay? I think that this one is pretty important. Okay, let's just play this because this is an ex-cop telling you again, how vicious human beings can be, period.
3 things I would never do after being a child abuse detective. Hi, my name's Christy. I was a child abuse detective, a specialist child interviewer, so I interviewed children who had been sexually abused and abused, getting the evidence for court, and a police officer for 10 years. Here are the 3 things that I think every parent should be really mindful of, and if you have young children, definitely wouldn't do after my experience as a police officer. Number 1 is blindly trust anyone. This includes your parents, grandparents, partners, friends, husbands, partners, cousins, other children. This is everyone. After the thousands of kids I've spoken to, the number of people I have heard from, both on this app, on other apps, I just think that we need to remember that our children's safety is our responsibility to look after them, and we can't just trust anyone. Even if nothing happened to you with that person as a child, unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen to your child. Number 2 is sleepovers. Again, children are vulnerable. They don't always have the language or the skills or the confidence to help themselves or to get help if something happens. So sleepovers, unfortunately, again, were one of the number 1 things that I saw people and other children getting abused. So definitely sleepovers are a no-no until children get older. Number 3 is allowing your child unrestricted, unsupervised access to the internet. Especially, there's so many things. We know this, but yet we use it as a babysitting device. And in my experience, I saw children who were given unrestricted access as young children. They were exposed to pornography, they were groomed online, and then, not to mention they're seeing inappropriate content, which actually impacts their mental health and impacts their future learning. It impacts their, potential for abusing other children, or there's so many reasons why I'm not saying don't give them access. I'm saying restrict it and supervise it. Definitely, it should never be a free-for-all. For young children under 8 to 10 years old, they should be sitting in the lounge room with parents around. They shouldn't be on there in their devices on their room. There's so many things. I've written a book about it, guys. I wrote everything I know down in a book called Operation Kids Safe, A Detective's Guide to Child Abuse Prevention.
So we'll end it there. You get the idea. This woman knows what she's talking about. And I'm just letting you know, these people exist. And for some reason, they don't go to prison for the rest of their lives. Here's a judge telling it like it is to a horrific child molester.
Mr. McConvicted convicted of or pleaded guilty to a sexually oriented child victim offense. As such, you will be a Tier 3 registrant for your lifetime with in-person verification every 90 days. Failure to register, failure to verify residence at the specified times, or failure to provide notice of a change in resident address or other required information as described above will result in criminal prosecution. This court is so sick and tired of seeing adults ruin and abuse children. These are literally just one step from being babies. They come to a daycare, those parents struggle so that when they release their children to someone during the day, they have some semblance that that child is going to be protected and safe. Not let alone 2 of their children being raped by your own admission, sir. For sexual gratification, you violated a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I do not know at this time what the total ramifications will be for those 2 young children, but there isn't anybody who doesn't understand now the developmental phases of children take place from 0 to 6 years old. You can't even know what damages you've done for sexual gratification. This to me is so mind-boggling that you used and abused 2 little children like they're inconsequential beings. Those are human persons with human dignity. The mere fact that they're small little people that can't fight off adults, that's why an adult left them with adults. I'm going to tell you something, Mr. McFadden. There's no free rapes in my courtroom. On count 1, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. On count 4, I'm sending you to prison for 11 years. They will be consecutive to each other for a total of 22 years. You have 32 days jail credit. At this time, the court finds it necessary to protect the public from future crimes, to punish the offender, and to find that consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of the offender's conduct and to the danger the offender poses to the public. Folks, if you see it, you smell it, you know it's happening, you report it. These are little children that are the future. I hate to sound so cliche, but the children are our future, and if we're destroying them, we have no future. And this ends in this courtroom. That'll be all. Fines and costs are waived.
I'll tell you right now, you can only hope that 22 years was the max and that he doesn't survive another 22 years. Let's be honest. You don't want that person anywhere near children ever. And either of those violations should have cost him life in prison, period. Okay. We're getting ready to go over to the second hour. We're going to start with a short with Bill Maher and Woody Harrelson talking. Then we're actually going to play the Woody Harrelson monologue. Then we're also going to play the Woody Harrelson Cologuard commercial. Maybe we'll play the actual Cologuard commercial first as well. Got a couple more clips. You're going to want to come over to redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. I'm going to start saying goodbye to all the other broadcasts over here. Rockfin, I love you. You'll be seeing stuff this week, I promise. YouTube, you know the drill. Had some hiccups, had some bumps in the beginning, but hopefully everybody enjoyed the broadcast. Remember to come on by redvoicemedia.com/uncensored or Podbean. You can listen for free over on Podbean right now. Second hour is always free over there. And then there'll be a new premium video released today from 2 weeks ago over at redvoicemedia.com